Hi everyone. Today we are on toward the end or at the end of the week starting on August the 5th. So we have the individual assignment at the end of this week by 1 p.m. on Friday. That's going to be tomorrow. Please don't forget to do that. I noticed there is already one commentary posted. Next week I will be traveling from Wednesday to Monday of the other week. So I'm gonna, on this week here, module 6, I'll be traveling the middle of the week and then till beginning of this week here. So I'll be on the road. I should be able to prepare a video if there's a need for me to prepare the video during that period. But sometimes there is a problem, and so if the other team, I noticed that one team already sent me the revised project file and the data file, and I'm going to be commenting on that now. If the other team wants me to comment on their project file, revised project file, and data file, I suggest that team sends me their revised files as soon as possible so that I can comment on that by Wednesday of this week here, so at the beginning of the week. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of the course. It's actually the timing for the team that sent me already the revised files is good, because now that team will have 1 week to put the report together, and then the other week is to refine that report. So it's good. It's a good time. Okay, so this is the file that I received that was revised. It was sent to me as a message, under a message by Syam Kumar, and so now we have a scenario and we have the data. I would suggest you keep the sheet with the data before the scenario, because when you read a data file, typically WordPLS as a default considers the first sheet as the one containing the numeric data. So I would do it like that. And here I have the results. One thing I would recommend is that now that you know the results, change your model to show the results in order of importance. So the most important predictor of total in this case would be miles, and I have them described here. So that's the total loaded miles. So that's the most important predictor of the total amount of the company receives for a service. So that would be up here, and then the second most important, let me see which one would that be, this one maybe, RPM, rate per mile. And so I would order them. One thing that I can see is that we don't really have any full collinearity VIF greater than 10, which means that the variables, by and large, they measure different things. So no two variables measure the same thing. Borderline high would be this one here, which is probably borderline collinear with this one. And that's something you would expect, because one is total loaded miles, the other is total miles traveled in the United States. The total loaded miles includes also the international part of the trip. So in this, so these two variables here are probably highly correlated. I would say maybe a correlation of 0.6, 0.7 or higher. And this is something you can see here. So if you go to your results, view correlations among latent variables, you see that this variable, miles traveled, is actually highly correlated with total loaded miles. It's actually a correlation of 0.8 or higher. And that's interesting because they are correlated and they both point at total. And you can see that the correlation between total and ST miles is relatively high. You would expect that ST mile would be significantly associated with total, but it's not. And the reason is because this path coefficient here, which is not significant, takes into account or controls for loaded miles. Since these two variables are highly correlated, but this is the most important of the two, then the association between this one and total becomes non-significant, very close to zero. That's what a multivariate statistical analysis does. It actually reduces the associations that are less important in an analysis, and that's the whole point of doing an analysis like this. So this is an interesting finding of this analysis. Now, I will say one thing here that related to what you said in regards to your question, right? Your question is, how do operational factors affect the company's revenue and efficiency, but you don't have a measure of efficiency? And what strategies can be implemented to optimize these factors to enhance business performance and revenue? You're not measuring business performance. So if you had a dependent variable here, or if your main dependent variable was profitability or profit in this particular, in each particular service, right? Which is, I assume it's a transportation service. That's the unit of analysis. So if that was the amount of profit or the profit percentage of that, then you would be measuring something more in line with efficiency, not total. Total is the total amount received for the service, not the profit within that total amount. And that is a bit of a problem. You have to admit to that. You have to say that in your report, that you're not really able to really talk about business performance in terms of profitability. And that makes your analysis a little bit less interesting, because you would expect say total miles, so total loaded miles, to be associated with the total amount the company receives, because the total miles will influence a number of other things, right? The more miles you cover, probably the more repairs you're likely to have, and also more expenses with fuel and other related things that would go into the amount you are charging for. So you would expect this to be a strong predictor of the total amount charged. Same thing with days, also whether it's international or not, because international you're gonna probably have maybe a larger distance to cover and also more costs, generally speaking. I would assume insurance costs would be higher if you're traveling internationally, particularly if you're traveling into Mexico, right? Maybe that's the case here or not, I don't know. So that's an issue. I don't think you were really getting a better understanding of how operational factors affect the company's efficiency. It does in terms of company's revenue, but not efficiency. So that's something to consider mentioning and discussing in your report. But this is the model. I think you should go ahead and keep this model the way it is. I assume that the client organization wanted to see this model, and they expected all of these factors to be influencing total amount the company receives per transportation case, let's put it this way. And so it would be interesting that some of them are not very important, like this one. But this one, obviously, it's not very important because it's subsumed by loaded miles. Perhaps this not being important would be interesting for them. Driver team has no importance on the total amounts charged, so that might be interesting to them. This one I would remove because this doesn't mean anything. So the unique ID given, it happens to be a number, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have the meaning of a number, right? So this is irrelevant. I would remove from the analysis. It would be a little bit like a zip code, or I mentioned this in a previous video. Zip code, it's a number, but it doesn't carry any meaning in an analysis like this. So this number going up or down makes no difference. It should not even be part of the model. So I would remove this variable here. It doesn't make sense to have it as part of the analysis. So other than these changes and comments that I made, I think that the team should just go ahead and start writing their report and use this model. And of course, since there are no variables measured through multiple indicators, there are no issues to report here regarding validity and reliability. So this is it for today. I'd be happy to comment on the other team revised files, and that's it for today. Thank you for watching.